Hello, everyone. My name is Danielle Larregui, and I am a senior developer advocate at Salesforce. And thank you for coming to Level Up with Data Cloud and Einstein Copilot Studio. And a special thank you to our sponsors also for French Touch Dreamin. Can't forget to thank the sponsors. So a little bit about me. You might be able to tell from the accent. I live in the United States, and I've been working with the Salesforce platform since 2014, and I started working with Marketing Cloud in 2015. But more recently, I started attending a lot of user groups and getting involved really a lot with the community as a result of becoming a developer advocate. But I've previously been a customer as well as a partner for Salesforce and an employee for a little under 5 years now. So I love going across the country, speaking across continents and speaking, and I love engaging with the Trailblazer community. So a little bit about me personally. I live in Dallas, Texas, which is in the southern part of the United States, but I grew up in a little tiny town in a tiny state called Delaware, which is in the northern eastern part of the United States. I love to game. I've been gaming since I was like 4 years old. I got like my first Game Boy, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, PlayStation. I have an Xbox and a PlayStation 5. So usually when I'm not working, I'm gaming. I love riding the Peloton. I am in the Peloton Trailblazing group. If some of you guys are in that Peloton group, we get a lot of messages on there. And they plan rides together. I'm a dog mom. That's my baby. I rescued him 7 years ago. And now he's like around 10 years old and he's getting a little bit grumpy. And I love travel and I love food. So really dev advocacy is the perfect job for me. Okay. So now you know a little bit about me. Let's go on to the forward-looking statement. Since I am an employee at Salesforce, I have to show you this, saying that I might make some forward-looking statements about future products or future enhancements. Please make all your purchasing decisions based upon what is in the system today and not what I might say is coming to the system. Okay, so let's get into it. So we did a relaunch of Salesforce Genie over the past year. And we launched Salesforce Data Cloud, which it's been a platform under several different names. So if you've heard of CDP, Customer Data Platform, Customer 360 Audiences, and even way back to Evergage, all of that has become the modern day Salesforce Data Cloud. Data Cloud has many features. You can use real-time automation like Flow. We just released Data Cloud Triggered Flow in the Winter 24 release. There's a lot of Einstein capabilities coming under AI Cloud, so pretty soon you'll be able to use Prompt Studio, as well as Prompt Builder, and now Copilot Studio. And it's all built on top of our really fast hyperscale platform known as Hyperforce, which is built on top of AWS. So Data Cloud has an AWS backend. And how does Data Cloud work? So Data Cloud is really designed to be able to pull in data from multiple source systems using connectors. So we have some out-of-the-box connectors, which allows you to connect to different systems and pull in data using just configuration, no code. So we have a CRM connector, we have a Marketing Cloud connector, Commerce Cloud, and then we have a few cloud storage connectors, Snowflake, BigQuery. It's really growing in terms of the types of connectors to be able to get in data into Data Cloud. We also have a few SDKs and APIs to be able to get in data programmatically, like the ingestion API to pull in mobile data, website data. And the idea is that you ingest all of this data so that you can then harmonize it and then do something with the data, right? So any data that's about a customer that's stored in multiple disconnected or disparate systems, and you want to pull all that information together and capture it in one harmonized view and then do something with that data, that is really what Data Cloud is meant to solve, okay? And Data Cloud has its own data model that consists of data lake objects and data model objects inside of its data lake. And then from there, after you harmonize all of that data, you can start doing activations on the data. So you can start doing things like segmentations, calculations with calculated insights. You can build analytics with Tableau, Datarama or Marketing Cloud Intelligence. You can now use reports and dashboards out of the box, and it even connects to Marketing Cloud. You can build journeys to send text messages and emails. But the idea is pulling in all this data, harmonizing it into one data lake so that now you can do actions with the data. And the action in particular that we're going to focus on today is AI. So we recently released our first version. This is a first version of Einstein Copilot Studio, which allows you to create AI models outside of the Salesforce platform and connect them to Salesforce using Data Cloud. So you can harmonize, ingest all of your data into Data Cloud, and then use that data into either Amazon SageMaker or Google Vertex into one of those AI models, and then you can connect those AI models to Einstein Copilot Studio. So the one that we're going to focus on today is SageMaker. So if you think about predictions in general, like what are some of the things I can predict? So you're making predictions all throughout your day, right? When you first wake up, you're kind of predicting the temperature. That's usually the first thing I check is what's the temperature, because in Texas, it fluctuates quite a bit. So one day it could be, like 0 degrees, and then the other day it could be like 15 degrees. It kind of goes up and down. So the first thing that I wake up when I predict is what's the temperature, so what should I wear when I walk my dog in the morning? And so we're always making predictions throughout of our day. So I wanted to put up here some of the predictions that are more maybe familiar for some of your use cases for sales, service, finance, and HR. But really, that's the focus of AI, right? AI is really making predictions. You want to predict something. Here's my subset of data. I want to take this data, train a model on the data, and then make a prediction with my data. That's really what you're trying to do. So with SageMaker, what you have to do first is, well, let me talk about what SageMaker is first. Does anybody have any experience with the AWS platform at all? Awesome. Okay, one. So the AWS platform has a tool called Amazon SageMaker. And SageMaker allows you to create all types of AI models, from machine learning, large language, open source AI models. You can really do a variety of AI models inside of SageMaker. So a lot of people say, well, that's really for a data scientist. I'm like, no, it's for everyone. It's really, really easy to use. There's a variety of things you can do, from low code to pro code. So anyone can use it, end users, developers, architects, business users. It actually is pretty simple. So you just have to really figure out how deep into the weeds you want to get with AI, but there's a wide variety of things that you can do on the platform. So what we can do now is we can connect AWS SageMaker to Data Cloud, and we can ingest our Data Cloud data into SageMaker and then start using one of those AI models that it has out of the box on our Data Cloud data. So what is your Data Cloud data? Well, your Data Cloud data is the data that's coming from your Commerce Cloud. It's the data that's coming from your Salesforce. It's the data that's coming from your Marketing Cloud. Even if you just have a CSV file, you can ingest just a plain CSV file into Data Cloud using Amazon S3, Google Cloud Storage, or Azure. So any data that's just even in a flat CSV file can be ingested into Data Cloud and then put into Amazon SageMaker, and you can start running your AI models off that data to start making predictions with that data. Really cool. So I'm going to show you as best as I can in 25 minutes how this works, how you can build, train, and deploy an AI model in Amazon SageMaker using Data Cloud data, and how you can use it to make predictions and feed those predictions back to Data Cloud. And just before I go into the demo, I wanted to say this is the pro code way. This is the hard way that I'm going to show you, but we do have something on the roadmap for a low code, no code model builder, which will allow you to do these steps from end to end, eventually all from Data Cloud, all from Einstein Copilot Studio. So eventually the idea is that you will ingest all of your data into Data Cloud, then you will choose your own model, right? And then from there, it will output all of your predictions, and you'll all be able to do that inside Data Cloud and Salesforce without having to leave Salesforce or Data Cloud. But this is just one of the ways that you can do it in case you had an AI model living somewhere else, like living in AWS SageMaker or in Google Vertex, okay? And all the AI models really work the same. So if you learn this way, it's not like it's like learning lost. Um, it's just going to help you even further when the low code model does come out. Okay, so let's go into our demo. All right. So here we are in SageMaker Studio, and I have an AI model here that is running. But the very first thing that you must do when you come into SageMaker is set up a connection between Data Cloud and SageMaker. So you need to make a connection. And the first thing that you're going to do is create a connected app, okay? After you create the connected app, you're going to generate the client ID, the client secret, and you're going to store that in AWS under Secrets Manager. Now, there's a little bit of steps that are involved in this, but I do have a blog that details all of the steps in detail. This will take you to our developer blog, and the blog was posted maybe only 6 posts ago. I didn't make QR codes for all the individual blogs because there's 3, and that would be a lot. But this takes you to our central blog page that will have all the blogs there. And also, and I remembered earlier today that I didn't add my Twitter handle on here, but if you message me on Hoova, the app, the event app, I will send you my Twitter handle because I've also posted all the blogs, and I'll do a social media post with the blog series. But this has all the detailed steps for how to connect SageMaker to Data Cloud. So the very first thing that you'll need to do is create a connection between SageMaker and Data Cloud to be able to pull in the data, okay? And the way that you'll do that is you're first going to use what's called a data wrangler flow. Now, has anyone ever used Flow in Salesforce? We have some flow fanatics? Okay, yes, yes. So data wrangler flow is really like using Flow in Salesforce. It's all point and click, drag, drop. It's basically like Flow for SageMaker. And so you need to first create a data wrangler flow, and then from there, you'll go here and you'll click create a connection. Now, there's a variety of different systems that you can connect to. And you'll see here that we have a new connection type called Salesforce Data Cloud. Okay? And after you set up that connected app, after you store your secrets in SageMaker, in AWS Secrets Manager, what you'll then be able to do is you'll click this title, and all you'll put in is your login information for your Salesforce org. So it's almost like logging into a managed package almost, like how it prompts you to put in your information and then it does the connection. It's very simple. It'll just do the connection after you click this tile. And then one of the things I want to point out is for SageMaker actually has a lot of connectors in here. And one of the other ones that Philippe doesn't know yet, but I sat in his talk right before this talk, and as he was going through it, I was like, okay, we're going to write a blog. He doesn't know this yet. He's just finding this out. But we're going to write a blog on how to connect Salesforce to Amazon SageMaker. Now you're on the hook because I announced it to people. Using RDS. And so, but you'll see here, there's a variety of connectors in SageMaker I was really surprised about. There's a Marketing Cloud connector, a Pardot connector, and a Salesforce connector all in here to be able to ingest data natively into SageMaker and be able to build AI models. But the one we're focusing on is the Data Cloud connector today. Okay. So from there, after you create the connection, I'm not going to create the connection because I already have the connection. What you then do is you go here to import your data. And what you'll see here is when you're connected, after you authenticate to your Data Cloud org, is then you'll be able to see all of the data lake objects and data model objects that are inside of your Data Cloud org. So here, I have an account data lake object. I have a case data model object. So all of these will then just start popping up into here. And you can view them. So I'm going to click account. And just wait for this to render. Okay, that one's an error. Of course, it's demo day. let's try this one. It might have timed out too. Okay, there we go. Case. So here we have a case, and we can see all of the fields in the case. Okay, and we can see all the values of the case. So we have like the case ID and some other things. But you can also actually just execute a query in here. And so I'm going to execute a query. And here, so I'm going to go here to my recommendation data, which is one of my data lake objects. And I'm just going to type in my query here, okay? And then I'm just going to copy the name from this. So in this particular use case, what we have is customers that are making purchases. So think about, think about your Commerce Cloud being connected to Salesforce Data Cloud, ingesting data about purchases. So in this particular use case, we have customers that are purchasing products, right? And we have a little bit of information about them, which is like whether they're a club member, if they've been a part of any campaigns, what state they live in, you know, how many cases they've opened, and what type of purchases they've made. And we're going to use all of this data to make a prediction about what is the next purchase that they're going to make. So this is just a sample use case. So what I'm going to do is I have this data stored in my recommendation data lake object, right? So I've already ingested this data from, let's say, Commerce Cloud, S3, Google Cloud Storage. All that data is sitting in my recommendation data lake object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a query to return results. And here's the results of my query. So in my recommendation data, I've pulled back all of these fields, and then this is what I got for the query. So you see product purchase, club member, campaign, state, month, and case, and a whole bunch of fields and fields values. So now that I've executed the query, what I want to do is I want to use this as my data set, as the input for my AI model. So in order to use this data set, so any data lake object can be the input for your training data, as your training data for any AI model in SageMaker. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click Create Data Set. And what this is going to do is it's going to create a data set for me. And so here's my data set that's going to be used to train my AI model. So here I could just click, there's multiple ways that I could use this as training data for my AI model. I can click Export and Train. And what that will do is it will start something called AutoML. And AutoML is a tool inside of SageMaker, which will literally just take any data that you have. Then you can just select the fields that you want to use for training. And what it'll do is it'll run an experiment. And in that experiment, it will return multiple models, like 500 or so models, that it feels fits the use case to train your data with to be able to make predictions. So it'll say, okay, we see this set of data. Now we think that this XGBoost model is the best model to use for predictions with that data. And it'll return that XGBoost model as either the best model or one of the models that you can use to be able to make predictions with that data. So in the future, that's what we want Einstein Copilot Studio to be able to do with making the no-code, low-code model builder. But that's how AutoML works, okay? So here, I already ran an experiment, and it already returned back this one as the best model. So all these are, I have 13 pages of models that it returned back that I could use on that one CSV of data. So 13 models, right? And what it will even do is it will even generate the Jupyter Notebook in the background for you as well. So you don't have to go and create the Jupyter Notebook to be able to run the model. Has anyone worked with Jupyter Notebooks at all? Okay, awesome. So Jupyter Notebook is a Python notebook, which is where your AI models live. So it holds all the code for your AI model. And I have a sample Jupyter Notebook here. So this is what one looks like. And this Jupyter Notebook is running a model called random forest classification, and it's in scikit-learn's library. I'm still working on the blog for this, but this is what a Jupyter Notebook looks like. And it has these cells in it, and what happens is you can either click in an individual cell and click the play button to run that cell, or you can click the whole play and it'll run the entire notebook. But this is where your model lives, and this is in Python. Yes, you can customize it. Yes, so all this code you can customize and edit in it. Yep, great question. It does sometimes take a little while for the Jupyter Notebook to run, maybe like an hour or so, but this is really where all the code for your AI model lives. That's running the actual model for training. Okay. So, just check the time. How much more time do I have? 5 minutes? Okay, I'm getting the 5-minute warning. Okay, so this has all of the code for your AI model. Now, after you run the Jupyter Notebook, what will happen is SageMaker is good enough that after you run it, it knows to automatically deploy the model. So after you deploy the model, what you can do is you can see the models and model registry here. There we go. And you can even have different versions of your model as well. So here under model registry, you'll have all your models and you'll have the different versions. It'll deploy it in a pending state, and then after you approve it, it actually deploys the model and creates the endpoint. So before you approve it, you're not going to see an endpoint to be able to call the model. So you have to actually go here, approve it, and then it creates an endpoint that you can actually use to call the model. All right. Now, after you have an endpoint to call your model, then what you can do is you can start setting up your model in Einstein Studio, which this is really the V1 of Einstein Studio. And in Einstein Studio, you'll set up like some details about the model, like the model name, and then you'll put in all the information for the endpoint. And please don't take a picture of the endpoint though, because it's actually live and people have actually like call this endpoint, and then I'll get a lot more money charged. The endpoint, and then what you'll do is you'll come here and you'll configure all the variables that your model is using as inputs, inputs. So here you see I have my club member, my campaign, my state. Some of these are the fields that my model is using for the input. And then you'll also be able to configure the output of where you want all of your predictions to go. So here I'm sending all my predictions from my model to my product recommendation data model object. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here into Data Explorer, into my data model object. And search. Okay. And here are all my predictions here. So I'm going to just take out some of these middle columns that I don't need. But basically what happened was I trained the model. So I did all the training of my model in Amazon SageMaker, right? And then after that, I got my endpoint. And then from there, I fed 1 million new records into the model. So I used 1 million records to train the model. And then I fed a new 1 million into the model to get predictions out from my model. And Einstein Copilot Studio ran the model for me after I set up the endpoint, the variables, and the outputs in Einstein Copilot Studio. And then what it did was it output them all into a data model object. And this is the data model object where all of my predictions went. And then these are my predictions. So this is basically the next product that my model thinks these particular people will purchase based off of the inputs of the data. So here is the men's agility shorts, men's bionic jacket, et cetera, et cetera. 1 million predictions for the 1 million inputs that I put into the model. Any questions? It's really hard to do this integration in 25.
I would like to know, before you send the data to SageMaker, make predictions. So do you do a cleanup about the data, or do you set a parameter of what prediction we want to do on the data? That's the question. The second, if you would like to implement our algorithms, do we need to know Python or export any language?
That's a great question. So one of the things I wasn't able to cover in depth is Data Wrangler. So with Data Wrangler, you have the ability to do all of the pre-processing inside of Data Wrangler. So here you can do not only analysis, so like there's all the types of things. You can do bias reports even in Data Wrangler, histograms, but you can also clean your data in Data Wrangler too. So you can do all the transformations, any transformations, handle missing values, handle drop bad columns. All of that can be done in SageMaker for any pre-processing for your model. You can also do some of that in Data Cloud as well under batch transforms. Now, like using the batch transforms and transformations, you can do some of that in Data Cloud, but all of your data will need to be cleaned and pre-processed and prepped before you can use it in the AI model. So especially categorical, AI models cannot handle categorical variables. So it can't, if you have a column that says blue, red, yellow, you need to switch it to ones and zeros before the AI model can understand categorical variables. So there is some pre-processing that you will need to do. That was the first part, or was that the whole question? Was that the whole question? Did I miss a part of your question? Did I miss a part of your question, or did I answer the?
Second one is like who would like to implement our algorithms
Okay.
to make predictions.
Yes. So this is designed to be as open as possible. So you can, so here are all of the different foundation models you can use in SageMaker. So tabular models, text image, object detection, text classification, and they even have all of the, I'll go slower because I see some pictures going up. But you even have the ability to use TensorFlow, any framework. So because they have the frameworks here for sklearn, Hugging Face, TensorFlow, you can really use your own algorithms. And you can also use your own Jupyter notebooks as well. Like you can just, if you know Python and you're an expert in Python, you can code your own model from scratch just using a blank Jupyter notebook. So nothing JavaScript, no. No, it's all Python. Python, and I think R is the only other one. Yeah. You're welcome. Yes.
Data cloud is mandatory, or is it possible to connect SageMaker directly to Salesforce?
It is possible, and Philippe is going to help me write that blog. Yep, great question. So I already do have 3 blogs out on doing the connection. I have a light one on how to use AutoML, the Python notebooks also out there, and I also just released a blog yesterday on how to set up your models in Einstein Copilot Studio step by step. So all of that is out there. If you have any questions, feel free to tweet me, send me a message on LinkedIn, send me a message on Twitter. Give me a little bit of time to get back, though, especially next week, because next week I'm going to be sleeping. I'm going to be jet-lagged, really jet-lagged. So give me a little bit of time, but any other questions? All right, I know lunch is coming up. Thank you.